The tremor started in the outer rings of Horizon Edge, barely noticeable among the constant hum of machinery. Maya Aaron felt it through the soles of her boots, a subtle shift in the orbital station's rhythm. At 16, she was still acclimating to life aboard the research facility, especially the way vibrations traveled through the titanium composite floors, so different from the solid Earth of her home planet. "Probably just a calibration," said Technician Lou, noticing Maya's momentary pause. The technician's fingers continued their dance across the holographic interface. "You'll get used to it." Maya nodded. But something about this tremor felt different. In her 3 weeks aboard Horizon Edge, she'd learned to distinguish between routine adjustments and anomalies. This was the latter, a dissonant note in the station's usual symphony. "Are you sure?" Maya asked, her translator badge automatically converting her words into the technician's native meridian. "It feels wrong somehow." Liu glanced at her diagnostic panel, then shrugged. "Nothing on the alerts, but if you're concerned, we can check the primary systems." The central monitoring hub sprawled before them, a cathedral of blinking lights and scrolling data streams. Maya had been granted limited access as part of her assignment, a diplomatic concession that many of the senior staff clearly resented. As the youngest xenolinguist ever sent by the Terran Alliance, she faced constant skepticism about her capabilities, despite her unprecedented aptitude for non-human communication patterns. "I'm probably just being paranoid," Maya conceded, turning her attention back to the audio samples she'd been studying. The vocalizations were unlike anything in the Alliance database, guttural, multi-tonal expressions that defied conventional translation algorithms. They belonged to the creature officially designated XB7, but which the station crew had taken to calling the apex predator. The station's intercom chimed, interrupting her thoughts. "All department heads report to Containment Lab Alpha. Repeat, all department heads to Containment Lab Alpha. Priority protocol in effect." Lou's expression tightened. "That's the primary holding chamber." "For the predator?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. "Yes, and priority protocol means Dr. Vex is either very excited or very concerned." Lou's hands moved quickly across her console, securing systems. Neither is particularly reassuring. Maya gathered her notes. Actual physical papers, an archaic method that had proven surprisingly effective for capturing the nuances of the predator's sounds that digital recordings somehow missed. "I should go. I'm supposed to be observing all interactions with XB7. Lou frowned. "They won't let you in. Priority protocol means essential personnel only." "I'm here under the linguistic inclusion mandate. They can't legally exclude me from primary observation." Maya squared her shoulders, summoning confidence she didn't entirely feel. "Besides, I've made progress on the vocalization patterns. They might need me." The second tremor hit as she entered the transit tube, stronger than the first. The automated railcar shuddered, lights flickering momentarily before stabilizing. Maya gripped the handrail, her heart rate accelerating. Something was definitely wrong. When she arrived at Containment Lab Alpha, chaos greeted her. Security personnel in reinforced combat gear stood at attention, while science officers huddled around monitoring stations. At the center of it all stood Dr. Vex, his tall, angular frame rigid with tension as he barked orders to his subordinates. "Increase power to the lateral field generators. We need to stabilize the harmonic resonance before the next calibration cycle." No one noticed Maya slip into the observation deck. From here, she could see into the vast containment chamber beyond the reinforced viewing glass. The space within was deliberately sparse, a controlled environment designed to study the most dangerous entity ever encountered by the Alliance. The creature paced the perimeter of its enclosure, a fluid shadow of raw power. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, with 6 limbs that moved with uncanny precision, the apex predator defied traditional biological classification. Its exoskeleton gleamed with an iridescent black sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. But most disturbing were its eyes, 9 of them, arranged in an asymmetrical pattern across its elongated head, each glowing with amber intelligence. Maya had never seen it so agitated. Its movements were sharper, more deliberate than in previous observation sessions. The creature kept returning to one section of the containment field, testing it with increasingly forceful probes of its primary appendages. "It knows something's wrong," she whispered. Captain Rel, head of station security, stood nearby, his attention fixed on the tactical display. He glanced at Maya, frowning when he recognized her. "This area is restricted during protocol activation. Linguist Aaron." "I'm here under mandate provisions, Captain," Maya replied, forcing her voice to remain steady. "Has XB7's behavior changed in response to the anomalies?" Rel's expression darkened. "This isn't one of your academic exercises. We have a level 3 containment fluctuation." Before Maya could respond, Dr. Vex noticed her presence. Unlike Captain Rel's professional displeasure, Vex's reaction was one of genuine disdain. "Who authorized the child's presence?" he demanded. The term, child, deliberately chosen to undermine her position. "I don't need authorization under Section 12 of the—" Maya began. "I'm quite familiar with the bureaucratic nonsense that placed you on my station," Vex interrupted. "What I'm not familiar with is why you believe your presence would be anything but a distraction during a critical system event." Maya held her ground. "XB7's vocalizations have increased by 30% since the first tremor. The pitch variants suggest awareness of the containment field instability. I might be able to—" "To what? Speak to it?" Vex's laugh was sharp, dismissive. "This isn't one of your diplomatic assignments. Miss Aaron, XB7 is not an ambassador. It's a predator. The most efficient killing machine we've ever encountered." "All communication has patterns," Maya insisted. "I've been analyzing its sounds for weeks. There's structure there, consistent with—" The third tremor hit, violent enough to throw several technicians from their stations. Warning lights flashed across every console. The creature in the containment chamber reared back, its entire form seeming to coil with potential energy. "Containment field at 60%, shouted a monitoring officer. "Harmonic destabilization accelerating." "Engage secondary barriers," Captain Rel ordered, activating his tactical overlay. "All security teams to defensive positions." Maya watched in horror as fracture lines appeared in the energy field surrounding the predator, visible as ripples of distortion in the air. The creature's attention fixed on these weaknesses, its intelligence evident in the calculated way it began testing each one. "It's going to break through," she said, but her voice was lost in the chaos of alarms and shouted commands. Dr. Vex moved to the primary control station, his fingers flying across the interface. "Redirect power from non-essential systems. We need to reinforce the primary field." "That won't work," Maya said, louder this time. "Look at its behavior. It's targeting the junction points where the field segments overlap." Vex didn't even acknowledge her observation. Captain Rel, however, glanced from Maya to the creature and back again, a flicker of concern crossing his features. "Specify junction points," he commanded his security team. "Concentrate defensive measures accordingly." But it was too late. With a surge of motion almost too fast to track, the apex predator launched itself at the weakest intersection in the containment field. There was a sound, like shattering glass, though nothing visible broke, and then silence. The alarms cut off mid-wail. The lights dimmed, emergency backups casting the lab in an eerie red glow. "Station-wide system failure," someone announced unnecessarily. In the containment chamber, the predator stood motionless, as if surprised by its success. Then, with deliberate slowness, it turned all 9 eyes toward the observation window. For a terrible moment, Maya felt certain it was looking directly at her. "Lockdown!" Captain Rel roared. "Full station lockdown! All personnel to secure zones!" The creature moved with explosive speed, smashing through the interior barrier that separated the containment space from the laboratory proper. Screams erupted as it tore through the room, moving with purpose rather than blind aggression. It seemed to be targeting the security systems first, destroying weapons before they could be deployed against it. Maya found herself pulled roughly aside as Captain Rel shoved her toward an emergency exit. "Go! Now!" She ran, the sounds of destruction fading behind her as sealed doors closed in sequence. The station's AI voice announced emergency protocols in a calm tone that contrasted horribly with the situation. "Containment breach in Sector 7. All personnel evacuate. Lethal security measures authorized." Maya's mind raced as she navigated the corridors. The Predator's escape wasn't random. It had deliberately targeted weaknesses, waited for the right moment. That level of strategic thinking confirmed what she'd suspected from studying its vocalizations. XB7 wasn't just operating on instinct. It possessed intelligence at least comparable to human cognition, possibly beyond. She reached a security checkpoint where station personnel were being processed into a safe zone. Ahead of her in line, she recognized one of Dr. Vex's junior researchers, her face pale with shock. "What happened to Dr. Vex?" Maya asked when she reached the woman. "Did he make it out?" The researcher's eyes were wide, unfocused. "It ignored him. The Predator. It went straight for the system controls. Then, the weapons cache. It's like it knew exactly what to target." "It did know," Maya murmured. "It's been watching us." Once through the checkpoint, Maya found herself in a crowded holding area. Tactical displays showed the Predator's progress through the station, a red marker moving with alarming speed through sectors that should have been secure. Automated defense systems activated, only to be systematically disabled. "This isn't working," Maya said to no one in particular. "They're treating it like an animal, but it's not responding like one." She pushed her way toward the command station where Captain Rel was coordinating the response. Multiple holoscreens displayed different sections of the station, tracking both the creature's movements and the deployment of security teams. "Captain," she called, "you need to let me help." Rel barely spared her a glance. "Get to your designated safe area, linguist." "Your current approach isn't working," Maya persisted. XB7 is demonstrating spatial awareness, strategic thinking, and system knowledge that indicates higher intelligence. I've been studying its communication patterns for weeks. I might be able to establish contact." "Contact?" Rel's laugh was harsh. "It's killed 3 of my people already." "Because we're treating it as a threat," Maya argued. "Violence begets violence. We need to try a different approach." "The girl is right," came a new voice. Dr. Vex had appeared, his usually immaculate appearance now disheveled, a cut above his eye, leaving a trail of blood down his face. "Though not for the reasons she thinks." Maya turned, surprised by the support from such an unexpected quarter. "XB7 has demonstrated capabilities beyond our previous assessments." Vex continued. "Conventional containment is no longer viable. We need to understand what it wants." "What it wants is to kill us all," Rel countered. "If that were true, the death count would be much higher," Maya pointed out. "It's being selective, targeting systems rather than people when possible." Vex nodded, though the concession clearly pained him. "The linguist may have insights we lack. Her species has a particular aptitude for cross-species communication." "What are you suggesting?" Rel asked, eyes narrowing. "I need access to all recorded vocalizations," Maya said quickly, before Vex could change his mind about supporting her. "And the observation feeds from its containment. I think there might be patterns we've missed, contextual elements that could help us predict its behavior, or even communicate with it." Captain Rel looked between them, the tactical displays showing another security team being outmaneuvered by the Predator. "Fine. But this doesn't supersede security protocols. You work under observation, and at the first sign of failure, we revert to offensive measures." Maya nodded, relief flooding through her. I'll need Technician Lou to assist. She's familiar with the audio capture systems. Make it happen, Rel ordered one of his lieutenants, then turned back to the tactical display. And pray this works, because we're running out of options. In the auxiliary lab, Maya and Lou worked frantically to compile all available data on the Predator's vocalizations. The screens around them displayed multiple feeds tracking the creature's progress through the station. It had already disabled the primary power core, forcing systems to run on backups, and was methodically eliminating defensive capabilities. Look at this, Liu said, highlighting a sequence of audio waves. There's a pattern here, recurring frequencies that don't match any known communication system. Maya studied the visualization. It's not just sound, she realized. Some of these frequencies are outside normal auditory range. It's using multiple channels simultaneously. She adjusted the parameters, expanding the analysis to include subsonic and ultrasonic ranges. New patterns emerged, complex, layered communications that human ears alone would never detect. There, she pointed. That sequence repeats whenever it encounters a new security measure. And this one, she indicated another pattern, appears when it's searching for something specific. Liu looked skeptical. You can tell that just from the sound patterns? Not just the sounds, Maya explained, pulling up the observation feeds. Watch its movements in conjunction with the vocalizations. There's correlation between specific sound patterns and behaviors. As they compiled more data, a theory began to form in Maya's mind. I think it's looking for something or someone. These aren't random attacks. They're systematic attempts to access different parts of the station. A new alert sounded. The Predator had breached another security zone and was heading toward the central hub. We're out of time, Maya said, downloading the compiled data to her personal device. I need to get to the central atrium. Lou stared at her. That's exactly where the creature is heading. You can't go there. That's precisely why I need to go, Maya insisted. If I'm right about what it wants, that's where the confrontation will happen regardless. But I might be able to establish communication before anyone else gets hurt. Captain Rel will never authorize it. Maya's expression hardened with determination. Then I won't ask for authorization. Evading security was easier than it should have been. Most of the station's resources were focused on containing the Predator or protecting essential personnel. Maya used service corridors and maintenance shafts to make her way toward the central atrium, the heart of Horizon Edge. The central atrium was designed as both functional crossroads and symbolic center, its vast circular space connecting all major sectors of the station. Transparent ceiling panels revealed the stars beyond, while the floor contained embedded navigation systems guiding personnel to their destinations. Now, those systems were dark, and the space was eerily empty, emergency lighting casting long shadows across the polished surfaces. Maya positioned herself near one of the main entrances, her device ready with the compiled audio patterns. If her theory was correct, the Predator would arrive soon, continuing its methodical exploration of the station. She didn't have to wait long. A crash echoed from one of the adjacent corridors, followed by the sound of tearing metal. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs, but she stood her ground, forcing her breathing to remain steady. Everything in her screamed to run, to hide, but she remained rooted in place, clutching her datapad like a shield. The apex predator entered the atrium with predatory grace, its multi-jointed limbs moving in perfect coordination. Up close, without the barrier of containment fields, it was even more terrifying and beautiful. Its exoskeleton shifted colors subtly as it moved, adapting to its surroundings with chameleon-like precision. All 9 eyes swept the space, cataloging potential threats before fixing on Maya. She expected it to charge, to treat her as it had the security teams that opposed it. Instead, it paused, a low rumble emanating from somewhere within its form. Maya recognized the sound pattern. It matched one of the recurring sequences they'd identified, associated with investigation rather than aggression. Slowly, Maya activated her device, playing back one of the predator's own vocalizations, a complex pattern she believed might signify recognition or acknowledgement. The creature's reaction was immediate, its posture shifting from predatory readiness to alert curiosity. It made a new sound, one Maya hadn't heard before, higher in pitch, but with the same multi-layered complexity. "You're trying to communicate," she whispered, more to herself than to the creature. "You have been all along." The predator took a step forward, then another, reducing the distance between them with deliberate slowness. Maya forced herself to remain still, though every instinct urged retreat. When it was less than 3 meters away, it lowered its massive form, bringing its face level with hers. The amber eyes studied her with undeniable intelligence. Maya tried another audio sequence, one that had appeared during quieter moments in the creature's containment. This vocalization was met with a response that made her device's sensors spike across multiple frequencies. The predator's outer limbs extended slightly, a gesture that seemed almost beseeching. In that moment, understanding crystallized in Maya's mind. She switched off her device and took a deep breath. "You're not just hunting," she said aloud. "You're searching for something or someone you lost." The creature tilted its head, a gesture so unexpectedly familiar that Maya felt a surge of connection, despite the alien nature of the being before her. It made another sound, softer now, vibrating at a frequency that resonated in Maya's chest. She thought back to the earliest recordings, captured when the predator was first brought aboard. There had been a name in the acquisition files, not the clinical XB7 designation, but a term used by the indigenous species of the planet where it was found, a name spoken with reverence and fear. "Korvath," Maya whispered. The effect was instantaneous. The predator, Korvath, went completely still, all 9 eyes widening simultaneously. It raised itself to full height, chest expanding as it prepared to roar. Maya stood her ground, her voice stronger now. "Korvath." The roar died in its throat, the sound cutting off so abruptly it seemed to hang in the air between them. Korvath lowered itself again, this time bringing its face even closer to Maya's. She could feel its breath, smell the metallic tang that emanated from its exoskeleton. "You recognize your name," Maya said softly. "You're not just a predator. You're Korvath." The creature made a new sound, a keening that contained such unmistakable grief that tears sprang to Maya's eyes in response. Without thinking, she raised her hand, palm outward, in a universal gesture of peace. Korvath mirrored the action with one of its upper limbs, the razor-sharp appendage stopping just short of touching her skin. "What happened to you?" Maya asked, though she knew the creature couldn't understand her words. "What are you looking for?" As if in answer, Korvath turned toward one of the atrium's exits, the corridor that led to the research labs where biological specimens were stored. It made the beseeching sound again, then looked back at Maya. "You want me to follow you," she realized. "You're trying to show me something." A commotion from the opposite entrance interrupted the moment. Captain Rell burst into the atrium, flanked by security officers in heavy combat gear. Behind them came Dr. Vex, his face a mask of astonishment as he took in the scene. "Stand down!" Rell shouted, raising his weapon. "Step away from it, linguist!" Korvath's posture instantly changed, reverting to the aggressive stance it had adopted during previous confrontations. A warning growl rumbled from its core, vibrating the floor beneath Maya's feet. "No!" she cried, stepping between Korvath and the security team. "Don't threaten it! It's trying to communicate!" "Move aside," Rell ordered, his weapon still raised. "That's a direct command." "If you fire, you'll provoke it," Maya warned. "We're on the verge of breakthrough. It responded to its name, Korvath. It's intelligent, not just predatory." Dr. Vex pushed past the security team, his scientific curiosity evidently overcoming his caution. It recognized its designation. Not designation, its name, Maya corrected. And yes, with clear recognition. But there's more. It's trying to show me something in the specimen labs. Vex's expression shifted from skepticism to revelation. The companion specimen, he murmured. Of course. What companion specimen? Maya demanded. Korvath growled again, louder this time, its patience clearly wearing thin. The security team adjusted their aim in response. When XB-7, Korvath, was captured, there was another organism with it, Vex explained quickly. Smaller, apparently juvenile. It was preserved for study. Horror dawned on Maya. You took its child? We didn't know they were connected, Vex defended. The indigenous species gave no indication of familial bonds between the specimens. Maya turned back to Korvath, understanding blooming like a painful flower in her chest. It's been looking for its offspring this entire time. That's why it escaped. Not to attack us, but to find its child. Korvath seemed to sense the shift in the conversation. It made the keening sound again. The grief in it, unmistakable now that Maya understood its source. Captain, she said, not taking her eyes off Korvath. I need you to have the juvenile specimen brought here, intact and with care. That's not protocol, Rel objected. Neither is allowing a xenolinguist to negotiate with an escaped predator, Maya countered. But here we are. Please, Captain, trust me. After a tense moment, Rel lowered his weapon slightly. Dr. Vex? Vex hesitated, torn between scientific protocol and the unprecedented situation unfolding before him. Finally, he nodded. Do as she says. Bring specimen XB-7B to the atrium. While they waited, Maya maintained her position between Korvath and the security team. She spoke softly to the creature, not with any expectation of linguistic understanding, but to maintain the connection they had established. Korvath remained vigilant, but didn't advance. Its attention divided between Maya and the corridor, where Rel had sent personnel to retrieve the juvenile. How did you know? Vex asked, his voice low. What did you see in its behavior that we missed? I listened, Maya said simply. Not just to the sounds, but to the patterns behind them. The same vocalization appeared whenever it accessed new areas of the station, always followed by what I now recognize as disappointment. It was searching methodically, room by room. And the name, how did you know that would work? The acquisition files mentioned it. But I also found reference to naming rituals in the cultural data from the indigenous population. Names hold power in their belief system, recognition of identity. I took a chance that the same might be true for Korvath's species. A commotion at the corridor entrance signaled the arrival of the requested specimen. 2 lab technicians wheeled in a preservation unit, its transparent surface revealing a smaller version of Korvath within, suspended in stasis fluid. Korvath's reaction was immediate and visceral. It surged forward with a cry that needed no translation, stopping just short of the preservation unit. All 9 eyes fixed on the juvenile form, limbs trembling with emotion. Careful, Rel warned, his team tensing. It's not aggression, Maya said. It's recognition, grief. She approached the preservation unit, looking to Dr. Vex. Can the stasis be reversed? Vex's face paled. You can't be serious. Is the juvenile still viable? Maya pressed. Could it be revived? Theoretically, yes. The stasis is designed to maintain biological integrity for study. But reviving an apex predator deliberately? The Ethical Review Board would never. We're beyond standard ethics now, Maya interrupted. We took its child. What would any parent do in this situation? Korvath made another sound, softer now, directed at the preservation unit. It placed one limb against the transparent surface, the gesture so tender, it brought tears to Maya's eyes. Do it, she said, her voice firm. Reverse the stasis. After a long moment, Vex nodded to the technicians. Begin revival procedures. Carefully. The technicians exchanged nervous glances, but complied, initiating the sequence that would gradually bring the juvenile out of suspended animation. Korvath watched every movement with intense focus, occasionally making soft sounds that Maya interpreted as encouragement or reassurance. As the stasis fluid drained and the preservation field deactivated, the juvenile began to show signs of life, subtle movements, changes in its exoskeleton coloration. Korvath's vocalizations increased, taking on a rhythmic quality that reminded Maya of a lullaby. Finally, the preservation unit opened with a soft hiss. The juvenile lay motionless for several seconds, then twitched, its smaller limbs flexing experimentally. Korvath leaned closer, making a trilling sound that vibrated at multiple frequencies. The juvenile responded with a weaker version of the same call, with extreme gentleness belying its fearsome appearance. Korvath reached into the unit and lifted its offspring, cradling it against its armored chest. The juvenile curled instinctively into the embrace, all its eyes closing in what could only be interpreted as relief or contentment. "Remarkable," Vex breathed. "The parental behavior is unmistakable." "Now what?" Captain Rel asked, his weapon still at the ready despite the touching scene. "We have 2 apex predators loose on my station." "We honor our mistake," Maya said firmly. "We return them to their homeworld." "Absolutely not," Vex objected. "The scientific value would be meaningless if forced." Maya cut in. "Think about it, Doctor. What we've witnessed today changes everything we thought we knew about Korvath's species. They're not just predators. They're intelligent, emotionally complex beings with familial bonds. The real scientific breakthrough would come from establishing willing communication, not from forced containment." Korvath watched their exchange, still holding its offspring protectively. When Maya turned back to it, the creature made a new sound, deliberate, measured, as if attempting to communicate something specific. "It's trying to talk to us," she realized. "Really talk." Over the next several hours, as station systems were gradually restored and damage control teams began their work, a remarkable negotiation unfolded in the central atrium. Using a combination of recorded vocalizations, gestural communication, and trial and error, Maya established the beginnings of a rudimentary understanding with Korvath. The security team remained present, but kept their distance. Weapons lowered but accessible. Dr. Vex observed with growing fascination, his initial skepticism giving way to scientific excitement as the communication progressed. Even Captain Rel seemed impressed, though he maintained professional caution throughout. "This changes protocols across the board," Vex said, after Maya had successfully conveyed a series of simple concepts to Korvath and received what appeared to be comprehensible responses. If XB7, Korvath, represents an intelligent species, rather than merely a dangerous predator, all our containment and research parameters need revision. Not just revision, Maya argued. Complete reconceptualization. We need to approach this as diplomatic contact, not specimen collection. As she spoke, Korvath made the now familiar sound that Maya had come to interpret as agreement or affirmation. The juvenile, growing stronger by the hour, echoed the sound from its secure position in Korvath's embrace. "I believe we can establish a formal communication framework," Maya continued. "But it will require time, patience, and most importantly, respect. Korvath needs to be treated as a sentient representative of its species, not as a research subject." "And if this is an isolated case?" Rel asked. "One unusually intelligent individual rather than a representative specimen?" "Even more reason to proceed with respect," Maya countered. "But I don't think that's the case. The complexity of the vocalizations, the multi-channel communication methods, the clear social bonding, these suggest evolved traits. not anomalies. Dr. Vex nodded slowly, his scientific mind clearly racing with implications. We'll need to redesign the containment area completely. Create an environment that allows for interaction without risk to either party. And we'll need to bring in more xenolinguists, Maya added. This is beyond one person's capabilities, but not beyond yours. Apparently, Vex observed, with what might have been grudging respect. How did you see what the rest of us missed? Maya looked at Korvath, who had settled into a resting position. The juvenile nestled securely against it. I didn't make assumptions. I listened. And most importantly, I considered the possibility that our greatest fears might not be the complete picture. In the days that followed, Horizon Edge underwent a transformation, both physically and philosophically. The damaged containment area was rebuilt as a communication center, with barriers that could be adjusted based on mutual comfort levels, rather than maximum security protocols. New monitoring systems were designed to capture the full spectrum of Korvath's multi-channel communications. And a team of specialists was assembled to expand on Maya's initial breakthroughs. Dr. Vex, perhaps the most transformed of all, formally revised his research parameters to incorporate linguistic analysis as a fundamental component, rather than an auxiliary consideration. Captain Rel implemented new security protocols that emphasized de-escalation and communication before force. 1 month after the containment breach, Maya stood in the new interaction chamber, watching as Korvath and its offspring, now officially designated by their proper names rather than specimen numbers, explored the expanded space. The juvenile had grown remarkably, its movements becoming more coordinated with each passing day. They'll be ready for repatriation soon, Dr. Vex said, joining Maya at the observation window. The Indigenous Council has agreed to provide guidance for the reintroduction process. And the communication protocol? Maya asked. Being implemented across all xenobiological research stations. Your approach is becoming standard procedure. Vex cleared his throat, obviously uncomfortable with what he was about to say. You were right. We were so focused on the physical danger that we missed the intelligence behind it. A costly oversight. But one we've learned from, Maya offered. Indeed. Vex watched as Korvath demonstrated a hunting technique to its offspring, the movements precise and controlled. The Alliance has extended your assignment for another year, with the option for permanent placement if you're amenable. They were quite impressed with your handling of the situation. Maya smiled. I'd like that. There's still so much to learn. Inside the chamber, Korvath turned toward them, all 9 eyes focusing on Maya. It made the now familiar greeting sound, the one Maya had come to think of as her name in Korvath's language. She responded with the closest approximation her human vocal cords could manage, earning what appeared to be approval from the once feared predator. Remarkable, Vex murmured. 6 weeks ago, we considered that creature the most dangerous entity ever encountered. Now look at it, teaching, communicating, cooperating. It was always doing those things, Maya said softly. We just weren't listening properly, as if to emphasize her point. Korvath approached the transparent barrier, the juvenile following close behind. It placed one limb against the surface, a gesture that had become a ritual of sorts between them. Maya mirrored the action, her small, human hand against the massive alien appendage, separated by a barrier that existed now by mutual agreement rather than force. Korvath, she said, the name no longer a desperate gamble, but a greeting between two intelligent beings finding their way toward understanding. The response came in multiple frequencies, some beyond human hearing, but captured by the new sensors. A name for Maya in return, recognition of identity, acknowledgement of connection. In that moment, as human and alien regarded each other across the divide of biology and experience, Maya understood that the most dangerous predator hadn't been tamed or controlled. It had simply been recognized, named, and in that naming, offered the dignity of its own existence, a gift far more powerful than any containment field could ever be. The juvenile made a trilling sound, drawing both Maya's and Korvath's attention. It mimicked the greeting gesture, placing its smaller limb beside its parents against the barrier. Maya smiled and shifted her hand to meet it, completing the circle of recognition. "The future of xenobiological research," Dr. Vex observed, watching the interaction. "No," Maya corrected gently. "The future of interspecies diplomacy." Outside the viewport, stars gleamed in the endless dark, each one potentially harboring worlds with their own Korvaths, waiting to be not captured or contained, but heard and named. Maya Aaron, 16-year-old xenolinguist from Earth, had changed the protocols forever, not with force or superior technology, but with the simple, revolutionary act of listening for the person behind the predator. And somewhere in the vastness of space, other names waited to be whispered. Other roars waited to be halted mid-breath by the recognition that across the gulf of evolution and experience, understanding remained possible. One name, one whisper at a time.